Well, good morning. Morning Musings by Melinda. Here I am in California. We drove in yesterday and it was a very pleasant drive, and we're in Chino Hills, which is one of our favorite parts of LA. It's beautiful here. The people are great. So today and tomorrow we're here doing some readings and doing some privates for people, and then we head to Sherman Oaks in LA to do some work there, and then back on down to San Diego. So I'm looking forward to spending some time here in California. I'm sorry about yesterday as far as not being able to get on the internet. You know, sometimes I need my 11-year-old grandchild to help me with some of the electronics. And when Facebook changes stuff, it really makes it difficult for me. So it is 6:30 a.m. here in California, 7:30 a.m. in Phoenix. And we were talking this week about free will and God. And, you know, I want to tell you that I absolutely welcome anyone that has disagreements. You know, I always say don't stand in one teacher's shadow for too long because it does not serve you, and that you have to think for yourself. But when it comes to disagreement, when you're being awful, don't do that. It's really not showing that you're somebody that's connected to God, because I just don't think that kind of visceral nastiness comes from the other side of the veil. At least I've been doing this for 30 years and I've never had anyone from the other side of the veil be so nasty, or any of the, angels that or guides that I see. So on free will, I'm still going to wade in at you guys. I just want to remind you that in Genesis, when God put Adam and Eve in the Garden of Eden, he said, you can eat from any other tree but the tree of knowledge. And even though the serpent tempted Eve to eat from the tree of knowledge, she actually used her free will to do it. And so that's all I'm going to say on the subject. Other than, I want to tell you a joke about the drowning man, which we actually put up yesterday, but it goes with what we're talking about as far as going with the flow. Because when you want to know what God's will is for you, you have to go with the flow. If you want to know how to behave in a way in which you're partnering with the energy of God, or partnering with the energy of the universe, you have to learn what the flow means. So today I wanted to talk to you a little bit about going with the flow, but this was so worth talking about, this little I guess it's a little joke, and we put it up yesterday, but I want to read it to you once again today, because it goes with what we're talking about. And that was that in a flood, a Christian man was on the roof of his house, and he was praying for God to help, and a man in a rowboat came by and shouted to the man on the roof, "Jump in and I can save you." And the stranded fellow shouted back and said, "No, it's okay. I'm praying to God to save me, and he's going to save me at faith." And so the rowboat went by. Then a motorboat came by, and the fellow in the motorboat shouted to him and said, "Come on, I'm going to save you." And he said once again, "No, thanks. I'm praying to God, and God is going to save me, and I have faith." And so the motorboat went by. Lastly, a helicopter came down. Remember, the floods are raising up, and he's waiting for God to save him. And the man in the helicopter said, "Let me just throw you a rope and take you to safety." He said, Nope. I'm praying to God, and God's going to save me." And so the helicopter reluctantly went away, and then the guy drowned. And when he got to heaven, he said to God, "Well, I was praying to you, and why didn't you save me? I had faith in you, and you didn't save me, and you let me down." And God said to him, "Well, I sent you a rowboat, a motorboat, and a helicopter. What more do you expect?" And I love that story because we still do have the ability to choose right and wrong on this planet. So when you're going with the flow, if the guy had gone with the flow, he would have said, "First for the rowboat, my prayers were answered." Or maybe for the motorboat, my prayers were answered. But certainly with the helicopter, my prayers were answered, because he was praying to God to save him, and God was giving him all kinds of ways and means to save him. And that's how it is on the earth plane. We are given all kinds of paths, ways, and means to be able to connect to our higher power, to our soul, to the grace of God. Every time that we have a situation in our life that we disregard what's given to us in order to make that movement, then we are negating our partnership with that higher power. We are negating that God is working in our lives continuously. You have to go with the flow of life. So it's called synchronicity in spirituality. When things come together in a synchronized manner, they're meant to be. If it's a constant struggle, then they're probably not meant to be, and you have to use the surrender process in order to do what God wants you to do. You know, your ego may want a lot of things, and you may want to align with your ego. But the truth is if there are barriers, roadblocks, and things in your way, then you probably should take a step back and reevaluate. If you want something and things fall into place continuously, and you are given a rowboat or a motorboat or a helicopter to get you there, then that's God in partnership with what you want. So how do you go with the flow? Well, first of all, you have to trust yourself and make sure that you're not involved with your ego, and you have to trust that you're able to make that movement and recognize when something's being given to you. Sometimes good things happen to bad people, yeah. And that's really tough. Why do those things happen? We have to have trust and faith that they happen for purposefulness and that we grow inside ourselves. And as we grow inside ourselves and make movement, we do get closer to God. And so, you know, you have to make sure that you are watching that synchronicity is available to you. Number 2, know what you already have, know that you already have the answer, you know, inside yourself. When you're doing something that is against an aligned vibration or against an energy frequency, you'll feel it. You'll know, okay? Then you have to recognize that you want to achieve is already within you. I started doing some Thankful Thursday affirmations yesterday. If you didn't add your affirmation, you want to go back and add one, because what we're doing is we're making a statement out there in the energy frequency of the I am, and that's what Jesus said, I am that I am. And when you put that statement affirmation out there, we're going to do that every Thursday. I'm hoping that we get lots of affirmations that really then solidifies it in your vibrational frequency. So when you're doing affirmations, you're honoring that what you want to achieve is already in you. When you have to embrace resistance. Now, what do I mean by embrace resistance? Remember that old saying, I think it was from the 60s, I don't know. What we resist persists. Well, what happens when a man is struggling in quicksand? He sinks, right? And so if you're struggling inside, whatever is the situation, you're not embracing the resistance. You have to surrender in order to make movement. You have to trust that God is in your life and that he will send you a boat or a helicopter. You have to seek joy in everything you do. You have to take inspired action. And that means just, walking the walk, not just talking the talk, tapping into your intuition and letting certain things go. When you're playing tug of war and you let go of the rope, the other team falls down. Sometimes we have to do that in relationships. We just have to let go of the rope, because you can try to make something, put a square peg in a round hole, but it pretty soon it's a lesson in futility. So those are some things to go with the flow. I hope I once again did a better job on explaining free will and God's will. I hope that you have a marvelous weekend. We are so happy to be visiting our friends here in California. Did you like the picture of Frankie yesterday? He's my new dog. Isn't he lovely? Look at his blue eyes. Have a great day, you guys. I want you to talk to me, please. I love it when you make comments. I try to look at everything, and I'm looking at all your affirmations. Have a great weekend.